Bye. Hey everyone, Coach Logan. We are going to break down form. I did these movements for people to kind of get an understanding of proper form, corrections, cues that I give to myself mentally as I go through them. So this will be a long format. Kind of stick with it, go through it. There's also going to be some shorts coming out later over the next few months. So you can kind of subscribe so you can get updates with that stuff if you want, or you can just kind of watch this and then go through and get some critiques for all the things. These are great movements to just incorporate with dumbbell only movements. So if you have a bench, an incline bench and a dumbbell, these are things you can easily incorporate. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is a 15-degree incline dumbbell bench press. So a couple things that I'm thinking for my setup is my shoulder blades are pulled back, completely retracted. The dumbbells, I'm trying to keep them stacked so you can see that my wrist, my elbow, everything's kind of in line, so I support myself well there, and I'm getting my elbows down as far as I can. As I press out, I want to make sure that I have a good controlled lockout. I prefer to have a lockout. If you're focusing on hypertrophy, you don't necessarily need one, but for me, this is a semi-neutral grip, and I'm pressing out there. For the incline dumbbell bench press with a pronated grip, same rules apply to normal bench press. Shoulders are pulled back, being able to really get those elbows down more, as opposed to the semi-neutral where it's more tricep. The pronated is more set up to get in isolation on the chest a little bit more. Triceps are still going to be involved, but not as much as if your elbows are driving inward. Now moving on to a higher incline press. So the same rules apply here. This hits a little bit more of the upper pec. Some research does show, I think it was Jeff Nippard, of course it's always Jeff Nippard, that there's a couple shoulder press machines that do recruit the lateral head. So potentially could be getting involvement there, but same rules apply, elbows drive down, keeping the shoulder blades back. For a body weight pressing movement, we're going to have dumbbell push-ups. So this puts your body at a little bit of a deficit to get a good stretch in the bottom. If you prefer to have that neutral wrist position, you can do it on the dumbbells themselves on the handles, or if you go more towards a pronated and like that position, you can put your hands on top of the dumbbells. What you want to try to do is keep your hips above your shoulders. That makes it a little bit more difficult, and that can actually require a little bit more upper pec than it does for the lower pec. One thing you can also do to make it a little bit more difficult is to elevate your feet. So getting into a deep stretch position in the bottom, controlling the tempo, whatever feels best and most controlled for you. And then same idea, getting that chest down to the ground to get a good deep stretch. Positionally, you can adjust your feet however you need. You can go a little bit higher. What kind of gets more cumbersome is your face starts to get in the way. So as you can kind of see there, my face is getting towards the floor, but it's also a good point for cueing to where you want to actually get your body to in space. Next movement is going to be for the legs. So we're going to be doing a heels elevated squat or a cyclist squat for some people. Main idea is the knees travel forward as far as possible. I've done this a bunch on the video on our YouTube. So if you've seen this one before, cues still remain the same. Torso is very tall and upright, and you're able to get into a good deep squat. You can add dumbbells to your side there. A little bit of flexibility and mobility issues can help or prevent you from getting into these positions, but still same rules apply. Keep your chest up and tall. The main thing is your knees are driving forward because you want to expose the quads to the tension, not necessarily the glutes like a normal squat does. Focusing more on the quads still, you can use a ab mat or you can use a yoga mat for this. I'm going to be doing some tall kneeling lean back. So positionally, you can set yourself up against a wall or somewhere that allows you to support. For here, I start with my feet upright, my toes planted, and this limits my range of motion a little bit, but still leaning back as far as I can, keeping my hips open, exposing the quadriceps to the tension there. Then putting my tops of my feet flat if you have the flexibility for that, which I did not really, and it was fine, it was fine. Moving on with another quad exercise. This is going to be a sissy squat. So I'm having the bench here for balance. If you can see from the side, I'm gonna make my knees travel as far forward as possible using that bench for balance or the wall, whichever feels easiest or which actually is readily available for you. Easier way, so you just kind of start with not much of a lean back, but then progressing to a deeper lean back, putting as much tension on the quadriceps as possible and getting a good stretch in that bottom position. Take your time with these ones, be controlled, use as much assistance as you do need, but the tall kneeling lean backs is a little bit easier for that. What do you want to do next? I want to do some lunges. Nope, RDLs. So for the Romanian deadlift, this one's gonna be beaten until I'm blue in the face because I've just seen so many people do this incorrectly. Hips are going back. You're not hinging over, you're not bending over. That's just a symptom or part of the butt going back as far. Your arms are ropes, you just kind of let the dumbbells hang, keep a little bit of upper back posture, but I use the bench as a cue to try to get my hips back, trying to get tension through the hamstrings. Then we move on. Reverse lunge. So I'll keep my knee traveling forward here. This puts a little bit in the quadricep, a little bit in the glute. You can see that knee travel, keeping the foot flat. I only use the back weight as a little bit of a kickstand. Back leg is kickstand. It's just there to support me. It's not there to drive up. If that is too easy for you, what you can do is add dumbbells, but same rule apply. You're going to leave majority of the weight shifted to that front leg and only using that back leg as support. If you hinge more, you can get a little bit more glute. If you have more of an upright shin position, you can get a little bit more glute. Knee travels forward, you're going to recruit more quad. If the weight is too easy, that's great, fantastic. But also what you can kind of do without any weight is start with a deficit. The deficit's going to naturally recruit a little bit more of the glute within that startup. So same idea, I like to hinge forward. It gets my glute more activation than if I'm more upright. Just feels better for me. Play around with what feels best for you. Do a set as many as you can, not using that back leg, and then you'll identify where you're feeling if it's your glute or if it's in your quad. So that was a reverse lunge. This is going to be a drop lunge or a forward lunge eventually. So starting with the forward lunge, which can progress to a deficit. This becomes more quad dominant for me specifically, just because I am allowing my knee to travel forward initially in the movement. It makes it a little bit harder, but not using that back leg as before with the reverse lunge. Then using the plate as a deficit, gets a little bit more travel on the knee, a little bit more travel on the hip, a little bit more range of motion. Never hurt anybody? I mean, that's not true. If you weren't ready for it, it definitely did hurt you. Beep, 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 beep. 30 degrees, wild. I mean, these rep benches are great. You can buy them. I would buy one. I'd recommend it. If you ever needed to just get jacked on a budget, you should get some adjustable dumbbells and a rep bench. Like $1,000 and you have your own home gym setup. That's amazing. It'll be very hard for you to get stronger than that. And then if you are, man, good to you. You can easily get a barbell and a rack after that. So 30-degree chest supported dumbbell incline row. This is a neutral grip position. I'm really protracting my shoulder blades, so really pushing forward to get a good deep stretch. That allows for a good position. With my chin over, can be a little bit difficult for somebody. If you're shorter, that's gonna be harder. So what you have to do is kind of get down into this bottom position here, towards a little bit lower. Makes it a little bit more manageable to grab the dumbbells, but same things, really pushing those shoulder blades forward, get a good stretch, and then pull. This one can be a little tough for people that are more well endowed with upper body, female specific. So this one just might not work for you. You could just be too uncomfortable than just a normal bent over rows where you want to go for that. We're gonna do some arms. No, we're doing a tripod row first. I don't remember. For the dumbbell pullover, that's what we're doing. The dumbbell pullover, whatever grip feels good for you to be able to get the maximum range of motion. I prefer that kind of grip with the dumbbell. Just depends on you. You can do 2 hands, you can do 2 dumbbells. But same idea, getting a good deep stretch. What could kind of become the end range of motion is the dumbbell touching the ground towards the end. If you have really good flexibility, there's a bug attacking me. I was able to defend myself, don't worry. Then taking your time because of the compromised position your shoulder can kind of be in. This will be a little bit harder if you have some shoulder issues to start, so take your time. Then also there's that more of that neutral position. It's a little bit better. So just kind of play around, see what allows for you to get the maximum range of motion without any pain or discomfort, and then progress that range of motion as well as the weight if you're kind of bottoming it out towards the floor. For the tripod row, you're going to start in a hinge position. So as you would normally in your RDL, you're going to load up the hamstrings, use that offhand as a brace. You're going to play around with the position, how far you want to be away from the bench, how close you can be to the bench. You can stagger your stance, do all the different things, but with your upper body, you're going to get into that deep stretch position, allow for that lat to open up at the bottom, stretch out, and then pulling up the shoulder blade, or pulling back the shoulder blade. So from the other view, because I needed to match it up, same idea. So the feet are side by side here. My hamstrings are loaded up. And give a little bit of a twist. You can kind of see that just to get that extra range of motion. The lying bicep curl is something that you can ease into. You can start with more of an incline position and then work your way back. The main thing is to try to get a good exposure to the bicep, allowing that slow controlled eccentric, trying to push away towards the heels really opens up the bicep to the tension, which is the best. If your lying bicep curl is a little too hard, a little too tough, you can do a decline bicep curl. This just puts that bicep in that kind of stretch position in the bottom. What you want to try to do though is maintain tension in the bottom. So a little bit of time, a little bit of practice to get used to it. So how I do it, shift the elbows forward a little bit. This gets my pecs actually a little bit in front delt, but allowing that tension so there is no lax in this movement, allowing that deep stretch in the bottom, as well as maintaining tension in the bottom of the bicep. Slow and controlled, per the usual. And then you can do that also with a leaning forward position. For me, this kind of hits a little bit differently, more of the short head of the bicep. So just a great variation for me. Something I can do, I can start with a lying bicep curl into a decline bicep curl into a almost upright bicep curl. It's a good mechanical drop set. Something you can play around with, good control, opening up those biceps to all the tension. Because you have biceps, you also have triceps. So for the tricep, the overhead tricep extension, if you don't have the shoulder flexibility, this one's gonna kind of be tough. You can use the barbell, maybe be a little bit easier. But neutral grip position here, I like to have my elbows pitched just slightly forward so I have tension throughout the entire movement. And then I kind of do a little bit of body English towards the top. If you don't have good external rotation of your shoulders, this can kind of get a little bit terrible. So take your time with that one. Good deep stretch in the bottom. For the skull crusher, I've seen this done so many different ways. Barbell, dumbbell, neutral, pronated. But what you can kind of do here, I like to still get the elbows forward, getting tension on the tricep. This is a great variation. It focuses more just specifically on the tricep. What some people do, repositioning, is let the elbows drop back slightly, which kind of gets a little bit more of the lat recruited. It does put a little bit more stretch in the long head, which is great for training that. But for me, I don't really feel it as well as with that elbow forward position. Then from here, you can do a dumbbell JM press. So this is a pronated grip. So same idea as the skull crusher, elbows drive forward, and this puts a lot of tension on the tricep. So if you have junky elbows, if the inside of your elbows kind of bugs, probably not be able to do these, maybe more of a neutral grip, but then you're gonna have a limited range of motion. Just play around as all things, figure out what works best for you, and then good, slow, and controlled with a deep stretch in that bottom position. Does that seem redundant? Because it is. That's what you need to do. Improve flexibility, get more recruitment of the muscles, hypertrophy, everyone wants to be jacked. Nobody wants to do the work. No, most people want to do the work. They just don't do the work. Consistency, community through connection, growth through consistency. That would be another one, maybe. This is a decline lateral raise. So for here, going to lean back, I think I'm like 40, 45 degrees, something around that rail. That works good for me. Play around what works best for you. So what we're just starting off with is a lateral raise, warming up the shoulders. So that feels pretty good. I enjoy that one, but to upgrade it for myself, I do that decline. That allows for me to stretch just a smidge in that bottom position. I try to keep my pinkies up, and that keeps pretty good activation. You can take these overhead, which is wild. So I start to progress to that overhead position. It just recruits the lateral head a little bit more throughout the entire movement. And then you can superset that. Let's see, there you go. Full range of motion, overhead lateral raises, slow on the way down. Good timing, good for the lateral heads there. Like if you have two, you should have two. Most people have two. Tragic accident, that'd be rough. Then lying back, so we had that full range of motion overhead, and then from here, same idea though, I like to get that deep stretch in the back position. Just a good variation for a lateral raise, but keeps your back supported, allows for you to not warm back and cheat too much, keep that slow and controlled eccentric. All right, folks, hopefully that was helpful. The main thing that you're trying to accomplish with any of these movements is, are the last few reps difficult? 1 to 2 reps from failure? Are you able to get to that? Are you progressing your weight? Are you progressing your repetition? Picking one of those, trying to do better each week, but focusing on that range of motion. Are you getting good activation within the movements that are supposed to be being worked? So are you getting your triceps involved in the movements that's supposed to be triceps? Or is there something else that's taking over? In any of these movements, if you feel like your grip is the limiter, then you should use grips. Just use them. There's a bunch on Amazon. You can use Versa grips, whatever it is. Some of them are really inexpensive. Some of them are kind of cheap, but there's some that we recommend that just get the job done. So taking the time to get strong, but then also not feel limited for your legs or for your back because of your grip. All right, hope this was helpful. That's exercise, that's training. Leave your comments below if you have any comments. If you learned anything, always good to put them in the comments. If you found this interesting and valuable, let me know. Like it, subscribe to it. Shorts are coming. Till next time.